Alright y'all, how's it going? It is Mega Evolution release week and I had the opportunity to open 50 packs yesterday thanks to a booster box and a few ETBs. That was just looking for chases, having fun with the new cards, but now let's get into the nitty gritty and take a look at the cards more in depth, see what is going to be changing with the meta, make predictions for what cards are going to be the strongest, and just kind of evaluate the full 132 card set list and be more prepared for the meta going forward. So let's jump in here and have some fun looking at some cards. Now I can tell you this, Mega Evolutions I can see is already going to be a better playable set than the Phantasmal Flames, just with the effective abilities of some Pokemon. It's not pencil necked into just a Charizard deck like I think Phantasmal Flames is kind of shaping up to be with Oricorio Charizard. This one gives you a lot of options to play with, and I feel like it does a good job of introducing Megas into the meta and giving a good variety to play with. So before we get into it, the Megas, let's go over the supporters and trainer cards, because I feel like that is going to be some important things you can add to your decks to kind of enhance and prepare for some heavy hitting megas coming forward. So I am here on Poke Beach. We've got the full set list in English. Well, we've got pictures of the Japanese and then translations. Let me go over here to the top of the supporters and make sure I'm not cutting it off. There we go. Alrighty, y'all, so I'm going to be real with you. I filmed a 40-minute video doing this already. The audio is corrupted, kept cutting out, so we're going to redo it. I'm going to try to not to sound monotonous, but I'm sorry. That was a lot of filming I just lost. So let's jump first into the trainer cards, and we starting off with Acerolus Mischief, our first supporter that's new. So with this card, you can use this card only if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, so like a late game thing. Choose one of your Pokemon in play. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's Pokemon EX. So that's really interesting. It sounds fun in theory, but in application, it's very specific for it to actually come to fruition. So what it's saying is when you play this card, you can choose a particular Pokemon and your opponent's Pokemon EX cannot attack that Pokemon. They can still boss up another Pokemon and attack that one, but it's interesting. I think it's got the makings of an interesting card, but it's not great in application. Next up, we got 2 reprints, which is great. Boss's Orders, I'm super excited they got reprinted, and then Energy Switch as well, which are both cards I use quite a bit. And then getting back into new cards, we've got Fighting Gong, which was really prevalent in pre-release, but I don't know how effective it'll be in the meta. I know Lucario can probably use it, but we got Fighting Gong. Search your deck for a basic fighting Pokemon or a basic fighting energy card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So Mega Lucario, it's a fighting type Pokemon. You can use that for energies or get the Riolu basic Pokemon. It's just there, nothing special. But what is special is Forest of Vitality. So Forest of Vitality is a stadium where each player's grass Pokemon can evolve into another grass Pokemon during the turn they play these Pokemon. So if you play a Bulbasaur, that same turn you can evolve it into an Ivysaur, vice versa. If you evolve Ivysaur, you can do a Venusaur. Oh wait, no. You cannot do that. You cannot do an Ivysaur into a Venusaur. You can only do the Pokemon you play, then evolve it. So I almost said that wrong, but still a very good card, good for Venusaur and Meganium. Next we got Iron Defender, which is an item. During your opponent's next turn, all of your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage. Pretty standard stuff, good for Mega Mawile. And then the big hitter of this set is Lily's Determination. This is going to be the supporter you're looking for when you rip in packs. Similar to Arven, Iono, Boss's Orders, it's going to be a card that's going to be a bit pricier than your normal bulk. So this card, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. If you have 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 cards instead. So good early game to reset your hand if you don't like the hand you were dealt. And then we got Lieutenant Surge's Dealings, which is ask your opponent if both players may draw a prize card, and if yes, both players draw a prize card. If no, the person who played this card draws 4 cards. So this was funny in pre-release because everyone said no because you're only playing 4 prizes. But I could see this card just like throwing it in your deck and be like, well, maybe they'll let me get a prize. It's a funny card, and it'll it'd be grounds for some interesting interactions within the gameplay. Next up, we got another item, Mega Signal, and this is search your deck for one Mega Evolution Pokemon EX, reveal it, put it in your hand. That's really good to have. You'll probably have this in a lot of your decks that play Mega Pokemon. And then Mysterious Garden. Oh, well, so it's basically like an Ultra Ball, but you don't have to discard, so it's really great. Mystery Garden is a stadium, and once during each player's turn, that player may discard one energy from their hand. If they do, that player draws cards until they have as many cards in their hand as they have Pokemon in play. So pretty cool. That'll be really good for if you're playing. Well, I was gonna say Area Zero Underdepth, but you can't play two stadiums at a time. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if we'll see it very often. And then the last supporter, Pokemon Center Lady. I think this card is useless. I think it's cool. I think there's going to be a lot of promos revolving around it, but it's heal 60 damage for one of your Pokemon and recover from all special conditions. So I don't know. It doesn't seem that useful for me. There's going to be that new like ice cream item with Phantasmal Flames that heals. So I think this card is useless. I don't see anyone using it at all. And then we've got, I think I said Pokemon Center Red Lady was the last one. I lied. There's a few more. Premium Power Pro. Let's see what it does. Let me move it around so you can see too. During this turn, attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage. It's just good for the Lucario. And then Rare Candy getting reprinted. That is amazing. We need the Rare Candy always. And then Repel. One of my new favorite cards added to the set is your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. It's kind of like Boss's Orders as an item, which is great. But your opponent chooses which Pokemon becomes active. So it was pretty good. It helped me a lot in pre-release. Got some Megas out of the way because I didn't have any Megas myself. Then we've got Risky Ruins, which is another stadium. Whenever either player puts a non-dark Pokemon onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. That's that'd be pretty good for the Mega Absol. I think that could be cool. We got Strange Cloak, which I still can't figure out what it's for. Devolve one of your Pokemon. Devolve one of your evolved Pokemon by returning any number of evolution cards on it to your hand. Maybe that could be good for Alakazam, but I can't think about why you would devolve your Pokemon. And then we got Surfing Beach, which is good for water-type Pokemon. Once during each player's turn, that player may switch their active water Pokemon with one of their benched water Pokemon. That's great. Basically a free switch as a stadium. Then you got Switch reprint, Ultra Ball reprint, all really good stuff. And then this is the last one, Wally's Compassion. So heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX. If you do, put all energies attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. That could be really good because Mega Evolutions are 3 prizes. And so if you can negate all the damage on it and just undo it, it could be very, very helpful. Now let's scroll up here and look at the Pokemon, starting with Grass. So I really hope I'm not losing this footage. I do not want to film this a third time. We got Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Mega Venusaur, our first Mega that we come across. This one has an ability Solar Trance. As many times as you like during this turn, you may move a basic grass energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. That is really good, and it could be really helpful with Executor, which I'll show you in a second. But first, we have 4 grass energies for Jungle Dump, 240 damage, and heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. So typical Venusaur, healing damage. That may seem like a lot of grass energies, but keep in mind Meganium, which we'll cover in a second. But like I mentioned before that, Executor has a move, Wood Stomp. It does 60 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So really great for Venusaur. You can load up Executor. It's a 1 prizer. You can attack with a 1 prizer and keep your Venusaur safe. Now also, let me skip ahead to the Meganium. Meganium has an ability Wild Growth where each basic grass energy attached to your Pokemon provides 2 grass energies, and you can't apply more than 1 Wild Growth for an ability at a time. But that means every energy attached to Executor is 2. So instead of 30, each energy does 60 damage, which Executor, Meganium, Venusaur, pretty strong combo right there. And then we got Shuckle, a basic Pokemon that will be good for supporting. Ferment Juice, once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any grass energy attached, you may use this ability, heal 30 damage for one of your Pokemon. So actually you could have a bunch of Shuckles on your bench and just switch energies across them with the Venusaur. And then one of my favorite mythics, Celebi. Let's take a look. I really wish Celebi would have gotten an IR. I think that'd be so cool. But it's move for 1 grass, time travel. Search your deck for up to 3 any combination of grass Pokemon and stadium cards. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Really good for that Forest of Vitality. It's always good to have a stadium draw engine. Those are very rare. Really just need like Secret Box or something. But that is really good for getting that Forest of Vitality in action. The next Pokemon with an ability is Ninjask, where its ability Cast Off Shell. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may search your deck for a Shedinja and put it onto your bench, shuffle your deck afterwards. Pretty standard stuff for the Shedinja-Ninjask combination. Delmise, love the artwork on that. It's like a... I'll zoom it in so you can see it. Really, really good artwork. I would love a Delmise IR as well. It's a strange Pokemon. It's just an anchor, but I think it's really cool. Now we're getting into the fires. Let's see. I'm not going over some of the attacks. I'm mainly going over abilities so you can kind of know which Pokemon to look for with their abilities, and then if there is a main attack that I see, I'll bring it up. But like the Executor. But let's see, the Mega Camerupt EX has a move, Roasting Heat, 80 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, this attack does 160 more damage. And then for 4 energies, Volcano Meteor deals 280 damage, and you discard 2 energies from that Pokemon. So a lot of damage. These Mega Pokemon are going to hit heavy, and it's going to make it very difficult for one prize decks. Litleo, here we go. Pyroar has an ability, Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon's attack do 30 less damage. Lame, not very exciting. But it does have a move that your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. So you can burn your opponent's Pokemon, and the Camerupt can attack for more. Let's see, Volcanion, nothing here. Reboot Cinderace has an ability called Explosiveness. If this Pokemon is in your hand when you are setting up to play, you may put it face down as your active Pokemon. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. So what this means is when you're setting up your board at the beginning of the game, normally you can just play basic Pokemon, but with this, if you have it in your hand, you can play it even though it's a stage 2. And then for 1 colorless, you can do 50 damage. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. That is crazy. Next up, we've got, let's see, Shiyu. Scorched Earth, 40 damage. If this opponent has a stadium in play, you may discard. So, Chi-Yu is a way to discard stadiums. Call for Family Mantine. Always good to have a Call for Family. Let's see. I know Phantasmal Flames has a crazy Call for Family. This one is search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Oh, so it's just like the Phantasmal Flames one. That is great. So 2 basic Pokemon, you can do a Mega Kangaskhan EX and just put it right on your bench. Because it doesn't say no stipulation, just has to be basic. So pretty strong right there. Moving on, let's see. Our next Mega we're coming across is Mega Abomasnow EX. And this one for 2 water energies, you have Avalanche Hammer. 100x damage. Discard the top 6 cards of your deck. This attack does 100 damage for each basic water energy discarded in this way. This is funny. So I saw in the Japanese competitions right now, because megas are legal in Japan, someone had an Abomasnow deck with, it was like 30 or 40 water energies, and so the odds of getting some water energies in the top 6 cards of your deck is pretty high. So I thought that was so funny, and I kind of want to play with that deck. And then for 3 waters, you have Frost Barrier, does 200 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage. So I'm seeing a lot of that, like a lot of damage negation with these new sets. Clawitzer has an ability reverse and reload once during your turn. When this Pokemon moves from the active spot to the bench, you may use this ability. Attach 2 water energies from your hand to this Pokemon. And then for 3 waters, you have Aqua Launcher, 210 damage, and you discard all energies. Pretty cool. All right, let's go over the Inteleon because this was one of the pre-release promos. It's very interesting. So for 1 water, you have a move Bring Down. This Pokemon, or the Pokemon in play that has the least HP remaining, except for this Pokemon, is knocked out. If there are multiple Pokemon, choose one. So that also encompasses yours. So if you need to make sure before you use Inteleon that there's a Pokemon with less HP on your opponent's bench or active. So it's interesting. It's funny to play with, but in application, I don't see it being very effective. You're just going to take out the weak ones. Alrighty, so we got another strong 1 prizer with Magnezone. It's a stage 2 with 160 HP. And for 1 lightning energy, you can do Upper Shock with 50 plus damage. If this Pokemon evolved from Magneton during this turn, this attack does 120 more damage. That's quite a bit. And then you have for 2 Flashing Bolt, 160 damage. This Pokemon can't use Flashing Bolt during your next turn. So, pretty strong, but pretty limited. Alrighty, so we have our next Mega Pokemon. It's Mega Manectric EX with 330 HP, and it's a stage 1. For 2 lightnings, you can use Flash Ray with 120 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by basic Pokemon. Interesting stuff. It could be fun to play with. Always love a good move that prevents damage. It's the problem is the odds of your opponent playing basic Pokemon. It's kind of dependent on that. So. And then for 3 lightning energies, you have Riot Blaster for 200 plus damage. You may discard all energy attached from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 130 more damage. That's 330 damage, which is crazy, which pretty much takes out all Megas almost. And if you pair this with Joltik, where you can add energies, super strong, super strong, 330 damage. An interesting card right after that is Pachirisu. It's a basic Pokemon with 70 HP. Its move, which costs 1 lightning energy, is Tingly Incisors, as it does 10 damage, but during your opponent's next turn, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to the defending Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on that Pokemon. Now, they could retreat, put it on the bench, or attach on the bench, and then do that kind of stuff. It's very specific. They have to do it on the defending Pokemon, but this is really interesting early game. I could see if you start off with Pachirisu, it could be pretty good for limiting the energy attached early game. All right, now we're getting into another good evolution line, and that is the Alakazam. So Abra, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench, pretty standard. But then you get Kadabra, which has an ability Psychic Draw. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may draw 2 cards, and that's important because of Alakazam. Alakazam also has an ability that's similar, except you draw 3 cards, and then its move for 1 Psychic Energy, put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon for each card in your hand. So you really want to have a big hand with this, and I took first place with a pre-release event with Alakazam. It is super strong, and it's super fun to play. And then to follow up Alakazam is another strong line with Ralts. So Ralts, just draw cards, standard stuff. Kirlia has a call sign, which search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. That's crazy because it doesn't say basic, it just says up to 3 Pokemon. So any Pokemon at all, which includes Mega Gardy. So let's check it out. Sorry, it's a bit out of... Can I move it? There we go. So for 1 Psychic Energy, you have Overflow Wishes. For each of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a basic Psychic Energy and attach to that Pokemon. Attach to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. I had to read that a few times. So basically, it's a free energy for everyone on your bench, which is crazy. And then for Mega Symphonia, it does 50 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So you can see, set up with Overflowing Wishes, that could be potentially 5 right there. Use Mega Symphonia for 1 Psychic Energy, and that's 250 damage for that. So you could even pair Mega Gardy. You can even pair Mega Gardy with regular Gardy EX and move Psychic Energies from your discard pile and load those up. But keep in mind that Gardevoir EX is going to be rotated out in the spring. But Mega Gardy, interesting. I'm excited to play and see how she does in a deck format. Next up, we got Shedinja. Sorry, I've never known how to pronounce that Pokemon. But its ability, Fragile Shell. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon EX, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. I mean, I can see that one getting pretty funny with people making meme decks on that one. Next up, another really strong Psychic. I feel like this one is really good for the Psychic Pokemon. So Grumpig has an ability, Energy Step, and it's once during your turn when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Pretty good. It was really strong in pre-release. I don't know how it's going to be in an actual format, but for pre-release, it worked really well and helped me get some pretty heavy attacks on, especially with Xerneas, which has a move for 3 energies. You can do 120 damage, and this Pokemon can't use it the next turn. And then Xerneas also has, for 1 psychic energy, Geogate, search your deck for up to 3 basic psychic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, which could be good for the Mega Guardy. Since you want a lot of psychic Pokemon on your bench, you could use Xerneas to get those on the bench and then promote Guardy, and you're good to go. Now we're getting into the fighting type Pokemon with Sand Slash. Has an interesting move. For 2 colorless, you can use Sand Attack, which does 50 damage, but also during your opponent's next turn, if the defending Pokemon tries to use an attack, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack does not happen. Pretty cool. I can see it being a pretty good disruption Pokemon to have in there. Next up, we got Tyrogue, which has a free cost. It doesn't cost any energies, just like the Badoo, for Bam Bam Slam. It does 10 plus damage. Flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 30 more damage for each heads. So, can you imagine if you get 3, even two heads in a row? That's 70 damage for no energies. That's very good early on, especially if you're using this on your first turn, you're attacking. That could be a lot of damage, but it is all luck, so you could just do 10 damage and that's that. Right after that, we got Hariyama, which has 150 HP and has the ability Sumo Catcher. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So pretty much an Iron Bundle almost, except it's only when you evolve. You can't just do it anytime. And then Lunatone, another promo from the pre-release event. So ability Lunar Cycle. Once during your turn, if you have Soul Rock in play, you may discard a basic fighting energy. You may discard a basic fighting energy from your hand in order to use this ability. Draw 3 cards. You can't use more than 1 Lunar Cycle each turn. And then Soul Rock right after that. I think I said it wrong earlier. It doesn't do 70 more damage. It does 70 damage, but you have to have a Lunatone on your bench. If not, it does nothing. So that's not as good as I was remembering. I thought it did 70 more damage for Lunatone. And then, the star Mega Lucario. I actually pulled the SIR Mega Lucario, so I'm super happy about that. So its move, Aura Jab, for 1 fighting energy. You may attach up to 3 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you like for 130 damage. And then Mega Brave, for 2 fighting energies. You can do 270 damage, but you can't use this during your next turn. You can't use that same move. So pretty strong. Not as fun as Guardy. Guardy has a lot of stipulations. Mega Lucario is just like heavy hitting. Next up, we got Garganacl, which has an ability that is really good with fighting Pokemon, aka Lucario. Its ability is Power Assault, or Power Assault. That's translated wrong, like Power Assault. Attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and it does stack. So, pretty good. So that would mean Lucario would be doing 300 damage. So for 2 energies, 1 dark, 1 colorless, you get Doom Period. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. Now, that sounds very specific, but think about Monkey Dory. You can actually, with 2 Monkey Dories, put 6 damage counters on that Pokemon before you load up your attack and then knock them out. So I think an Absol Monkey Dory deck could be very interesting, because Monkey Dory does use dark energies and Absol's dark. It's a match made in heaven. And then also there. Now that does two things. You can reveal their hand so you know what they have, and also if you see anything good, like maybe a boss's orders or an evolution, you can discard that card. So I think Mega Absol is going to be a sleeper that no one's really talking about, but could be very, very strong. Alrighty, now getting into the Steel Pokemon. So first up is Steelix, which has an awesome IR. I'm trying to get it. It has 200 HP, which is pretty good for a one prizer that's only stage 1. For 2 colorless, you have Welcoming Tail, which does 40 damage. If you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, this attack does 200 more damage. That's crazy for early game. 240 damage for a one prizer is absolutely insane. And then getting into our first Steel Mega Pokemon, we got Mega Mawile EX with 270 HP. Not much for a Mega, but it is a basic. For 2 Metal Energies, you have Greedily Devour, which this attack does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. That is a ton. That is a ton of damage. Especially since it's a basic, this could be a good late game Pokemon, kind of like Blood Moon or Saluna. Just load up, especially if you got Archaludon, load up those 2 Metal Energies, super easy. And then for 3, you can do Big Bite, which does 260 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters on it before this attack does damage, this attack does so this one you want them to not have damage counters, so it does 260. And of course they brought back Tinkatuff, everyone's favorite. So it's got an ability Surprise Hammer. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may use this ability. Flip a coin. If heads, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And what do you know? We got another Goldingo, and what do you know? It's strong. So for stage 1 Goldingo, for 1 colorless, all you can grab, flip a coin until you get tails. Search your deck for a number of cards up to the number of heads and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So let's say you even just get 2 heads. You can search for 2 of any card. You can search for 2 cards in your deck of just any card. I'm tired of Goldingo. Next up, we got Mega Latios, which is a dragon type. Ooh, let's go. When are we going to get dragon type energies? That'd be something. They did fairy, so let's do dragon type energies. That'd be so cool. I cannot tell you how many of these I pulled. For 1 colorless, you do 40 damage, and you may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. That could be great early game, especially since it's basic and only costs 1 energy. And then for 3, for a red, purple, and colorless, you got Mirage Pulse for 300 damage, and you discard all energy from this Pokemon. It's alright. It's good for early game. You can use it early and kind of get ahead of your opponent, overwhelm with some pretty heavy attacks. I don't know. I'm not thrilled about that card. And there's Latios. It has an ability. Once during your turn, when your Mega Latios EX moves from the bench to the active spot, you may move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon. There it is. That is how you can attack with Mirage Pulse and then keep discarding energies. Very cool, and it's cool that they work together. Next up, we got a colorless Mega. We got Mega Kangaskhan EX, which has 300 HP, which is absolutely insane for a basic, and we have the ability Run Errant. So once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability. Draw 2 cards, and you can't use this ability more than once each turn. And then for 3 colorless, you have Rapid Fire Combo for 200 plus damage. Flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 50 more damage for each heads. Man, I'm so nervous about the meta going forward. It's going to be so tough playing the game. But hey, it's a good challenge. I'm looking forward to it. We got Delibird with Fast Gift. If you go first, you can use this attack during your first turn. Search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. That's pretty cool. I could see that one being pretty good and pretty useful with a lot of decks. So we do have a regular Lopunny, which is interesting because we're getting Mega Lopunny with Phantasmal Flames. For 1 colorless, you have Leaping Kick. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Alright. Spiral Kick, 60 damage. That's kind of a useless card. I don't see anyone using this one. And then we have Gumshoos with the ability Gather Evidence. So once during your turn, you may use this ability. Switch a card from your hand with the top card of your deck. Wait, I played someone in pre-release who did that wrong. That's crazy. This is why you always read your opponent's cards. Oh, that's crazy. That is not what he did. Beware, and that's it. That's all the cards. We're at the end of the list. Alrighty, so my outro cut out. Luckily, I saved everything else, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative and you kind of have an idea of what deck you want to build going into the Mega Evolution era. I'm going to have videos kind of playing with some decks, seeing what I want to do, and a lot of that coming out soon. The first one I do want to do is the Mega Absol. I think that one has the biggest potential for my particular playstyle. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you're still watching at this point, that is crazy. This is a long video, so I really appreciate your watch time and your support. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe to all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.